Ode to teachers. 5 years old, terrified as could be, ode to the teachers who have been there for me. Now middle school, the rebellious teenage years, ode to the teachers who have helped me hide my tears. Sleepless nights and wanting to forfeit, ode to the teachers who told me it was worth it. Those old scary memories should be left at the bottom, ode to the teachers who will never be forgotten. Like a shining star, they brighten my future, ode to the teachers who have lots of positive humor.
Why I like Mr. Knuckles is because he's really fun and very energetic, and he's very smart.
Mrs. Meyer Fisher is a great teacher. She pushes you to your best and cares about you a lot.
I like Mr. McLaughlin because he is concerned for the health and our physical activity for our students and our athletes in the school.
The reason I like Mr. Santino is because he's a really fun teacher and I like how he teaches. He makes sure that we are always doing something, and I just really like that.
My favorite project with Mr. Day is the food project where I had to make food from Israel, and I like it because I like to bake.
I like Mrs. Lee because she makes classes fun.
My favorite teacher is Mrs. Glenn because she is nice and she's funny, but she also gets down to business sometimes.
I like Miss Cartwright because I love her sense of humor during class, the way she explains everything during class and all the fun projects that we do in her class.
I like Miss Leah because she has good labs and great notes I understand.
I like Mr. Journey because he is very kind about how he teaches.
I like Mrs. Teague because she puts her heart into art.
I like Mr. Enos because he's a fun teacher and he's really nice.
My favorite teacher is Mrs. Oaks because she's funny and she is very nice.
I like Miss Whitterman because she explains stuff that I don't get well.
I like Mrs. Hawkins because she's a funny teacher, but she always knows when to be serious.
Two things I like about Miss Nicholson is she is very nice and she helps me whenever I need it.
I like Miss Simmons because she helps me with my homework and she's very nice.
Miss Girl's a really good computer teacher. She's really cool. She's really funny. She has an obvious sense of style.
Because of Mrs. Willard, I am now confident and able to go on to honors English.
Because of Miss Opal, I always have someone to talk to when I'm feeling down.
Because of Miss Bland, I feel more confident in my ability to analyze literature.
Because of Mr. Stacy, I can relate aspects of history to everyday modern life now. He's a history teacher that just doesn't, you read about something in the book and you move on. He tries to, connect it to us today.
Because of Miss Cullum, I would go the extra mile.
Because of Miss Bullion, I learned how to cook a lot better.
Because of Mr. Hess, I've been able to better my attitude every day.
Because of Mr. Romine, I now have greatly improved speech abilities.
Because of Mrs. Treehorn, I can apply math to real-world situations. We love math!
Because of Mrs. Baldwin, I'm confident getting better grades and doing all my homework on time.
Because of Mr. Sims, he makes history enjoyable and I like to laugh.
Because of Mrs. Clark, I am more confident at math.
Because of Mr. Kubik, I feel like I have learned life skills that I'll be able to use after I graduate, and I'm very appreciative for that.
Because of Miss Cole, I now know that copious amounts of H2O leads to high tide.
Because of Mrs. Olson, I can achieve anything.
Thank you, Mr. Day.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee.
Thanks, Mrs. Cullum.
And I thank you, Mr. Romine.
Thank you, Miss Gwen.
Thank you, Mrs. Oaks.
Thanks, Ms. Bullion.
Thank you, Miss Bland.
Thank you, Mr. Santino.
Thank you, Mr. Journey.
Thanks, Mrs. Treehorn.
Thanks, Mr. Enos.
Thank you, Miss Cartwright.
Thanks, Mrs. Manfisher.
Thank you, Miss Nicholson.
Thanks, Miss Blair.
Thanks, Mrs. Teague.
Thanks, Mr. McLaughlin.
Thanks, Miss Weathers.
Thank you, Mr. Knuckles.
Thanks, Miss Baldwin.
Thanks, Miss Willard.
Thanks, Mrs. Clark.
Thanks, Mr. Sims.
Thanks, Miss Simmons.
Thanks, Mr. Kubik.
Thank you, Mr. Hess.
Thanks, Mrs. Opal.
Thanks, Miss Cole.
Thanks, Mrs. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mrs. Cutis.
Thanks, Mr. Stacy.
Thanks, Mrs. Olson.
Thanks, Mrs. Gill.